for real, are you going to lead today?
Yeah, I have to. Because I got to give you the history of Ouija boards. I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready for this fucking knowledge I'm about to drop on you. I got the Fox sisters. I got fucking Kennard Novelty Company and Charles Kennard of Baltimore. I got Elijah Bond, a businessman. I got William Fold. I got the idea motor effect. I got a fucking article explaining this shit and how it works. I got some fucking crimes involving Ouija boards. If I run out of shit to
can
talk
you
about,
talk?
I'm gonna
Can we go back to you talking into the mic, please?
What?
Can we go back to you talking into the mic, please?
We're not recording.
Yes, the fuck we are.
Is this the episode?
Yes.
When did we fucking start?
About a hot minute ago.
What the fuck? I literally thought we were just having a conversation about. I thought, oh shit, this is like fucking Inception. I'm not really sure what parts of my life are the podcast and what parts of my life are real life. I'm still not sure.
No, I went ahead and just clicked that record button.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Fuck. I was like breathing in the mic and sitting all sloppy.
Bitch, you were breathing in the mic. Your ass was talking. Oh, you two were talking to the damn refrigerator.
I fucking thought we were just having a conversation. Like, I didn't realize that we start. So what did we say? Did I tell all my secrets?
Yes, you did.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Well, ladies and gentlemen.
Trent will know that I like him.
Oh, no.
He's gonna know I have a crush.
Welcome.
God damn. Welcome, one and all. Welcome myself. Welcome all of you. Welcome me to the Haunted Heart podcast.
Wait, I don't get a welcome?
Well, I mean, you already fucking knew we were here.
I welcomed my damn self.
You fucking clicked record. I don't even know when it started. It's weird. I don't have my persona on yet. You see.
Oh,
I wasn't
your
ready.
persona.
I didn't do my vocal warm-ups. I didn't clear my nasal passages appropriately before we began.
How are you feeling today? Are you a human today, or
a little better?
Or what?
I'm feeling much less congested. I'm feeling much more energized. I just have a small problem that my lungs are liquefying and turning to dust.
How do they liquefy and then turn to dust?
Well, they first liquefy, right? And then they just drip down into my abdomen, and then the harsh climate of the inside of my body kind of like just dries them all out and just kind of turns them into dust that just blows into the wind. Kind of like in Harry Potter when Lord Voldemort like disappeared.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's a liquid stage before that, though. And then there's just like ash that just blows into the ether.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're talking about at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Oh.
Voldemort doesn't make it.
You were going to have some very angry potheads on you right now.
Why?
Because you spoiled it for other people.
Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Is that what the fuck?
No.
Why do they have to be potheads?
Potterheads, but I said potheads.
Oh, Potterhead. I thought we were talking about drug culture.
No, that's for another episode.
Let me reach into my Lana Del Rey knowledge here.
Slip on that persona.
For
Wait, hold on.
sure.
Where's your flower crown?
Sleepy. Just so sleepy.
Where's your flower crown?
And my eyes are just can't.
Katie, are you
hardly
petting a tiger right now?
I saw this beautiful fucking meme that was like, it was a SpongeBob meme, and he was going into his file cabinet, and it was like stuff, or like Lana Del Rey's file cabinet, or like stuff Lana writes songs about, and it was like older men, drugs, like the West, and then like fucking like emotional tragedy or something. It was much better than what I'm describing, but it was 110% me, except drugs. I don't know dick about drugs. I wish I was cooler, and that I did. Not that drugs are cool, but like,
just dig that grave, Katie.
I just wish I knew enough to not sound like a fucking yuppie ass idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, this isn't the Talk About Drugs podcast.
Like if
so
somebody was like,
good.
find some drugs, I'd be like, where? Like, can I buy them at the Target? No? Remember that one time?
Yeah, I remember that one time. That's where I was. Yeah, that's why that's why I gave you the look that nobody else could see.
You're my fucking hood friend. What was that dude's name?
I'm not going there.
Okay. That's probably how you get murdered.
Yeah, I'm not going there.
Yeah, you can see I don't have a lot of experience in the
You're lacking in the etiquette department.
Well,
the drug etiquette department.
I'm lacking in the etiquette and presentation department today because I didn't know.
You're just lacking.
I'm just
etiquette.
lacking. I'm just fucking lacking. I'm just lacking. It's just not quite, man.
Well, if you haven't fucking clicked away from this episode yet,
please don't leave me.
We have a couple of friends that we want to talk about before we get into the episode.
Yes.
Our friends over at Dead Planet Company. They are KJ and Dan, and they definitely share our love of horror.
Yes.
And sci-fi cinema.
Mm-hmm.
I guess more so horror for me, more sci-fi for you.
It's so good.
So definitely go check them out. They create really cool enamel pens so that you can just show the world how big of a freak you really are.
I love enamel pens. I have a problem with enamel pens.
Well, we've talked about this before.
Yes. And I am obsessed with their Beetlejuice pen.
Yeah, the Beetlejuice pen is really nice.
I think it's cool.
That was their first one, actually. They actually just started this year. So they're a pretty new company. And the Beetlejuice pen was their inaugural pen, which was a pretty awesome choice, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
Their latest one, they actually have a Gozer pen from Beetlejuice. From Ghostbusters.
Whoa, that would be a weird crossover. Can you fucking imagine the guys from Ghostbusters hunting fucking Beetlejuice? That movie would have been... I mean, that movie was good anyway, but that would have been fantastic. Bill Murray.
I just fucking love Beetlejuice, though.
I
want to kind of like... That's how I kind of want to be in the afterlife. Mm-hmm. Just like, whatever. Bioexorcist, bitch.
That movie has it all. Every single look...
that is
served in that book. I am. Well, no. Did I say book? Fucking.
Well, there's
what?
I thought you were talking about the handbook for the recently deceased.
No, I was talking about the movie, but I called it a fucking book because I'm trash.
Because you're lacking.
Because I'm fucking lacking. I'm lacking. Period. No. Every single look that Lydia Dietz serves in that movie is like my dream wardrobe. I wish that I cared enough to wear that much clothing.
The red wedding dress.
Yes.
Iconic.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, definitely.
Are we playing the Beetlejuice film?
We're also
or are we
playing
playing
Beetlejuice.
Dead Planet?
We're also plugging Beetlejuice.
Go watch fucking Beetlejuice.
Yeah, go order your pen and then watch fucking Beetlejuice.
As you
get
wear
your pen and then watch Beetlejuice. Do whatever the fuck you want to.
And then photograph yourself with your pen watching Beetlejuice.
But you can find them on Instagram at Dead Planet Co. DeadPlanetCo.
Thank you. The illiterates, thank you so much. We don't have to spell words when they're spelled like how they're supposed to be spelled.
Well, you never know. Because, like, hello, gorgeous sounds like gorgeous, but...
That's true.
You never know.
Right, but it's spelled different.
You never know.
But I feel like people assume... Anyway, I feel like you're extra today, and I'm lacking.
I'm very excited
I almost said I'm lonely, and I don't really know why that happened.
That was a slip.
God. Where is that?
How can you be lonely when you were with me and our candles?
And our new mics and our soundboard.
And our, yes.
And our fucking soundboard.
Let's cue Beyonce. Yeah, don't touch it, though.
Oh, God. I'm going to break it.
Don't touch it.
I wasn't
you might
touching
screw
the
up
buttons.
any of the... Don't screw up some shit, because next thing you know, we might be like, don't
it's
touch
warm.
it. Don't touch it.
I'm going to break it.
Don't touch it. Leave it be.
I'm going to break it, and then we're going to need a new one. And that's how I'm segueing to our Patreon. Go check it out. No, seriously. Our Patreon needs some lovin'. we're posting cool shit on there. We're posting cool audio on there for you. And we have some surprises.
Did you say surprise?
Surprises.
Surprise.
And we don't want to say too much, but we've gotten some feedback from you guys. We've gotten some messages and emails and such. And we know that you guys are very interested in the M word.
The what word?
Not marriage.
Meatloaf.
I mean, I personally am very interested in meatloaf. Wait, are we talking the singer or the dish?
Why not both?
The singer's
We're talking Meg.
Meg?
Meg. The Meg.
The Meg.
The Meg. Have you ever... You've been away from Facebook for a while. You haven't seen
fucking
the
that
trailer...
wasteland of garbage.
The trailer... by the way, where you can also find our private Facebook group.
I literally only hang out in our private Facebook group. Like, fuck the rest of Facebook. That one corner of Facebook is where I stay, and I am a wallflower of that group. But we're getting away from my point, which is we know you guys are interested in the M word, the M word being merge.
Merge. I don't know what that is.
And we can't tell you too much, but we are working on it. And if you want to be in the know about merch and merch related secrets, you should join our Patreon, because we're going to release the details there first.
Mm-hmm.
And we might even be doing some collaborative stuff on there and polling and things like that. So
it's all secrets.
Super secret. But if you want to be in the know
as
soon as possible.
If you want to join our cult.
Yeah. Fucking get on that. But also, hang out with us on Facebook too.
Yes.
Because we put a bunch of cool shit up there too. And also, don't be afraid to post in the Facebook group either. Like, I love when other people post in our group.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It literally makes me so fucking excited. If you want to make my day, just post shit in the Facebook group.
I see a notification that someone's posted in the group, and like the chemicals in my brain just sort of like fire away, and I just get all sorts of like tingles and
it's
happiness.
Beautiful. My nipples get hard.
Damn, you caught me off guard with that one.
Yep. It's hilarious.
Well, there's that, guys. So if you want to make Katie's nipples hard, post away.
Just go. Just Facebook's the way to do it. It's actually the only way to do it. That's it. They won't do it any other way.
Oh my God.
All right.
So
that's housekeeping.
Bitch, what are we talking about today?
So we are talking about. Look at him. He can't stop thinking about it. He's just over there thinking about my nipples.
Fuck.
All right, so we're talking about a very serious subject. This is not the episode on nipples. This is the episode on Ouija boards.
Ooh. What's your personal opinion on the spirit boards? I kind of know it, but I don't know that most people that are listening know it.
So I think the board itself is fine, right? I mean, it's just like anything else. The board is just a thing, right? It's not sentient. There's nothing particularly special about the board, right? You buy it from fucking Parker Brothers. It's just a tool. What I think so the board itself is harmless. I do think that Ouija can be dangerous. And I think what makes it dangerous is not the board, it's not the game, it's nothing to do with how it's set up. It's just the fact that it's sort of commercially doled out, and there's very little instruction as to how to work with intention and how to be respectful and how to actually set your intentions and focus your intentions and communicate with respect and to be safe in doing it. And so I think what is dangerous about the Ouija board is that it's like taking a tool and putting it in the hands of somebody who has no idea what they're doing and just kind of seeing what happens. And I think that you can with your intention that you place on the Ouija board, I think that you can open doors that maybe you don't want to necessarily fucking open. And maybe you don't shut the door. And then maybe a bunch of shit happens to you. So I personally don't choose to make that part of my practice. I don't begrudge anybody who does, as long as it's something that's done with forethought and, you know.
Plan your shit. Know what you're doing.
I mean, not necessarily plan, but just like you respect, forethought, and like a mindfulness as to what your intentions are. And an ability to control your intentions. Because I feel like a lot of people go to it and they're just like, let's just fucking talk to something. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to just talk to something. Because there's a lot of somethings. And some of them don't like you very much. No,
that was a quote that kind of stuck out to me when I was doing a research for this topic. And forgive me because I cannot remember for the life of me where I got it. But it's not about who you're trying to talk to. It's who's listening.
Exactly. If you think about it, if you threw open the door to a dark room that was full of beings and you couldn't see and you just started talking, I mean, you're kind of doing the same thing in a spiritual sense. You're opening yourself up to a lot of stuff that you don't necessarily have an understanding of, I feel like, as an average Ouija board user. I'm not one of those people who's like deathly afraid of them. Again, like I said, it's a tool, like any tool. But I think it's what you bring to it that can sometimes fuck you up.
Yeah, I agree. I have very similar views. Like, I think it's all about the power that you put into it. So, like, with me, I have no issues. Like, I have a small collection of Ouija boards because I like them. I like their aesthetic.
I love the aesthetic.
And I don't personally put any power into it.
Yeah.
I seem to believe that I have a very strong mental block placed on that sort of element of like the supernatural.
On Ouija board specifically?
No, but just like
or talking
paranormal,
to spirits.
like ghosts in general.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know why. I think there might have been some things that happened like when I was younger that caused me to just like build up a barrier and close myself off to it. So that's why I'm not as, susceptible to the supernatural and like the afterlife sense, like ghosts, spirits, that sort of thing. So it has no power for me.
See, I have the opposite problem because I am like a ghost magnet, where I am I don't know if it's my beliefs or my own sort of brand of spiritualism or whatever, but I can very easily have experiences like that. Like very, like for whatever reason, people just fucking love to talk to me. I don't know. But I am sort of...
Maybe you smile too much. Maybe you wear too much pink.
Exactly.
Sorry, I couldn't let it go.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Pam reference, True Blood.
Love it.
It's
true. But it's true. Like, throughout my life, I've been very, I guess, susceptible to the spirit world, whatever you want to call it. And so, for me, something like the Ouija board is like... It would be like if I put a fucking flashing neon sign over my head that said, like, come fucking haunt me. You know what I mean?
It's like when you're just on your macro diet and you've got a wonderful
Which, by the way, I'm still the fuck on. I had one single piece of bologna and a sharp cheddar cheese stick before we started recording.
Bitch, you took a bite of that fucking buttercream roll. I saw you.
I absolutely did.
I saw you.
I did. I'm going to log it. I'm going to give it, 12 carbs? It was just one bite.
Well... That's what Eve said. And look what happened.
That's very true. That's very true.
But yeah,
Accurate.
so we're a little bit different in that sense, but I think we can both agree that it's really like all in your intention and the power that you put into it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I don't believe in ghosts or the spirit realm or anything like that, because I very much do in a sense, but I'm just not as open to it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I believe in it, but I'm not like, the door is very much shut, closed, not opening. And I don't know why necessarily. And I've actually tried to do some spiritual exercises to like help open up those senses a little bit more, which I'm, may or may not regret. But yeah. So anyway,
I think it comes down to, it's not the board, it's the person. And I think maybe there is a very responsible way to go about, using it as a tool. But for me, it's a little bit too commercial. Like, I just can't get into, I don't know. I never have been able to. It's either in my mind, opening a door and putting a huge neon flashing sign over my head that says, "Come fuck with me," or it's like just so commercial and lame. I can't get over that. Like, the fact that fucking Parker Brothers sells these things. Like, who the fuck are you gonna talk to?
Yeah, I mean,
But again, it's all about you. It's all about what you bring to it, and it's not necessarily.
I mean, because you can make your own Ouija boards.
Yeah,
like, it's not any. I don't think it really matters.
I just fucking need the designer fucking like boards from the like ship that the Pilgrims were brought over on.
God.
And the fucking blood of some crazy serial killer man. The letters are painted in his blood, and then like the fucking planchet is like, I don't know,
made from bone.
The skull bone.
Yeah,
like
made from bone.
Oh, the fucking like sternum bone of like some crazy powerful witch. That's the Ouija board I need. So
I don't think that's the Ouija board you need at all.
We can give you our P.O. box, and you can go ahead and make that for me. Send it to me. That would be beautiful.
No, I have several. So I actually have one that my mother gave me for Christmas that was glow in the dark. Very like commercial.
Mm-hmm.
I have one that I made for one of our Halloween parties, and I know it was technically like a prop, but I mean, it could still be considered a Ouija board.
You could totally still use it.
And that one I made a little animated, like I took a planchet and had it animated so that the planchet was like spinning.
Put a motor on it.
I put a motor on that shit.
It was tech. That was a rare moment of tech.
And it never happened again, bitch. After that, I fucking started buying my shit.
That was it. You got one a year.
I did.
You have one tech moment a year.
Yeah.
You've
and I think I just did it on this fucking sound mixer.
I went away for the weekend, and Kenny was like, I got some shit. And he was like texting me all these things, and I was like, oh, cool. I didn't know what the fuck it meant. Something about double tracking, something about now he has this board that has these lights on it that flash at me, and they real pretty. I don't know what they mean, but
well, that means it's working.
Good. All right, we'll just keep those on then.
So yeah, and then I actually also have a vintage Ouija board from like one of the original like Parker Brothers games, like in the 80s. Like one of the ones from the 80s, like a really vintage one, which is really cool. So I've got several.
And the 80s vintage? So we should probably talk about my segment, because I'm clocking that vintage in the 80s from
vintage.
Parker's.
80s is vintage, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
80s is vintage.
I guess. I mean,
some of the men updated are vintage then.
Shit.
Yes, the 80s is vintage. Shit, some of the 90s is vintage now, too.
God, am I vintage?
Yes.
Oh, no.
You are vintage. Mm-hmm. Capital V.
Does that make me more expensive?
No, bitch.
And we've circled back around to Lana.
No, it does not.
Fuck.
Not yet, anyway. And then you have to get, like, really old before you get into vintage. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to get really old.
Maybe they can use my sternum to make the Ouija board.
That's what I will do.
That I'm talking about.
That's what I'll do.
You can just fucking take mine out.
When you die, I'll turn...
the sternum of a...
I'll just go into the mortuary and, like, just take your sternum. Make a little board with it. I might, like, rub you on the cheek, like, have a little moment, like, when I'm... As you're
just fucking, like, ripping the sternum out of my... As you hear, like, the bone crack and you're, like, exerting yourself. And you'd softly, tenderly touch my cheek.
Uh-huh. I get some of the blood to make the ink that I print the letters on.
I just want you to take, like, a Native American standpoint on it and just use every part of my body.
Okay.
Just use like, stretch my skin out for... Just don't make a skin suit out of it.
Where are your nipples going?
I want them to be like...
On the goodbye. It's the two O's.
Yes, the goodbye. Yes, they're going to be large O's, though.
Goodbye.
Good. The board is just, like, mostly nipple.
Just one huge nipple. It's just the nipple is stretched out to make the layer that the letters go on.
Oh my. I hope nobody has a problem with that word. You know how sometimes people have issues with words like moist?
Nipple.
Because we've said it about 18 times. That should be the name of the episode. Just nipple.
Moist nipple.
Oh, okay. That one got me. Moving on. We thought that we would give you guys a little bit of background information on the Ouija board in case you don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
Yes, Katie's going to be serving us some history class today.
I'm going to get you some knowledge. Sit the fuck down.
Oh, but you already know what she's talking about because she told you at the top of the episode.
If you're standing up, sit the fuck down. And then stand the fuck up because I'm going to use my degree. The
degree that she got on her own time.
My undergraduate history degree, because it's class time. And Professor Katie is ready to drop some fucking knowledge on you.
All right. We're listening.
Don't be misled by my stuttering of my own fucking name. So, February 1891.
February. Good month.
February 1891.
That was a good year, too.
I guess it was, bitch. I wasn't there. I ain't that vintage. That would be like the pre-centennial of my birth, though. I'm going to talk about my age in another episode.
Okay.
In the second one in a row. So February 1891, some creepy ass motherfuckers, you and me, before we were reborn, are just floating around.
Okay.
Living our lives, probably smelling like shit, probably working on a fucking farm, and you hate it.
Why the fuck do we have to smell like shit?
Because everybody did. It was 1891. Like,
Bitch,
it was just gross. No, I'm in some fabulous, beautiful, like, gown with some fucking, like, ivory buttons and that I feel really
like
bad
shit
about in this life because, you know, I'm not down with taking elephant tusks. That's fucked up. But back then,
maybe 1890s Katie was.
I guess she was. What a bitch. So, we're doing our thing, living our lives, and ads for the Ouija Wonderful Talking Board start appearing in newspapers everywhere. And, you know, we're all the fuck over it because we're spooky as fuck.
Uh-huh.
So, we're eating that shit up. And the Ouija board was said to have these crazy, spooky powers where you were supposed to be able to contact spirits from the beyond and do a whole bunch of spooky shit. So ads started appearing on a large scale in 1891, but before that, this whole wave of 19th century spiritualism fed into the advent of, or the popularization, I guess, of the Ouija board. So that was kind of what primed the pump. So you had, in the 19th century, people would do a lot of, like, fucking weird-ass spooky shit. Like, they would have seances, and it was totally fine.
Oh, because they were starting to get into that shit. It was just like...
Yes, and it was a lot more commonplace.
It was on trend.
It fucking was. I mean, honestly, when I was reading about this, like, it seemed like a pretty cool fucking place to be, other than the fact that everybody smells like shit. Like, that's what you have to keep in mind.
No, but that's what they would do. They would just all get really glamorous, come over for, like, a party, and then they would just hold, like, really fancy seances in their ball gowns.
Like, that sounds cool as fuck. And you would have, like, your seance on Saturday night, and then Sunday morning you go to church, and everything's fine.
Yeah.
Like, and it's totally normal. And there were some pretty important members, or I guess leaders of the spiritualism movement. The Fox Sisters of New York. Have you heard of them?
No, I have not. I like that name, though.
I think they fucking
Fox
may have
Sisters.
been us in another life. Like, they were just, like, goth.
I was a lady.
They were, like, a goth duo. I would believe that.
Oh, yeah, I would too.
Beautiful, boorish,
Plus
rather mannish
size
lady. What if you weren't, though? What if, like, one of the sisters was, like, a drag queen?
Huh?
And it was, like...
Like the Boulet brothers, but the Fox sisters.
Right.
Maybe.
That'd be cool.
Just maybe.
So they were some super goth bitches that hung out in upstate New York, and they did all kinds of creepy shit. They had seances, and they claimed, one of their claims was that they could receive messages from spirits, and they would, like, walk. It was kind of like fucking Ghost Hunters, but like 1891 edition Ghost Hunters. So they would walk around different places, and they would ask questions, and the spirits, they said, would rap on the walls in answer to their questions. And by interpreting those knockings on the walls, they could get answers.
Sounds sexy.
Right? So who the fuck knows how they actually interpreted knocking? Like, I don't know what means.
The fuck you talking about, Ghost?
We should do the podcast that way one day.
Oh, God.
Just a whole episode of us just knocking, and you guys have to decode it, figure out what we're talking about.
Knocking and chair squeaks.
No.
I don't know if
horrible.
you can hear that.
That's
but...
abhorrent. So you can imagine that at a time when the average lifespan was less than 50 years old, people would be very interested in contacting the dead, and people are dying all the time. Like, it's not like death is an average. Like, seriously though, like,
people were just dropping like flies.
it was fucking
Also on trend.
Like, you have also on trend, dropping like flies. No, so they death was a much more commonplace thing, and there were, you think people had way bigger families. People would have like fucking 13 children. God bless them, and 7 of them would die before they reached the age of like 16. Like, it was just a very morbid time. It was a hardcore time. So
thank you vaccinations.
Yes, absolutely. And germ theory. So you can see how talking to the dead would have such an allure at that time.
Yeah.
However, walking around your house asking questions and interpreting the fucking rapping that you hear on the walls seems kind of time consuming, you know?
A little bit.
A little bit time consuming. So, these guys got together and had this great idea. In 1890, Charles Kennard of Baltimore, Maryland, which actually isn't that far from us, and Elijah Bond, who was a businessman, they got together and they had heard reports of out of these Ohio spiritualist camps. And those reports kind of started circulating around 1886. So prior to 1890, they had kind of heard about these boards that people were using that had letters painted on them. And the people would ask a question. And I mean, basically, those boards, from the way that they're described, sound a lot like the Ouija boards that we know of today. And so people would ask the board a question, and then the spirit would answer through the board, spelling out its message to you. So they said, that's a great fucking idea. And they stole it from the hippies in the Ohio spiritualist camps, and they fucking commoditized it because America. Fuck yeah. So they began producing their boards in 1890, and then about 11 years later, this is where you might, if you know anything about Ouija boards, it starts to get familiar. A man named William Fuld took over the manufacturing of the Ouija board. And he's the guy who's responsible for really popularizing it. But a lot of people think, Kenny included, think that William Fuld was the original creator of the Ouija board, and he is not.
Bitch, I didn't think shit. That was a test on you. That was a test for your knowledge.
Sure. All right. So William Fuld, in 1901, he takes over, and he really popularizes the Ouija board. He says that Ouija means good luck in ancient Egyptian. I don't really know, because I don't know any ancient Egyptians, but I do have a Yahoo email address from 2003 that is EgyptLover1315@yahoo.com.
I remember that.
And I'm just going to go ahead and say on those credentials, whatever, croutons, that it doesn't mean good luck in ancient Egyptian.
I heard that it means good luck. Like, it might mean good luck, but I don't know that. I don't know.
Probably
I would have
means
to
like Satan's maw. Like, that's probably what it fucking means.
I would want to research that a little more. Research our topic a little more.
No. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say it doesn't fucking mean that. I also heard that it's a combination of the word yes in French and German.
Oui. Ah, oui.
Oh, and then German it's ja.
Ja. Oui, ja.
Or ja, oui, ja. That seems more legit.
I heard that it named itself.
Oh, yeah, that it spelled its own name out?
Yeah.
I feel like we just took the French and out of those three origin stories, I'm feeling like the most legit one, the most plausible one is the French and German.
Well, I had heard, like, when they were asking it, like, they were trying to, like, brand it, like, they were asking it what it was, and, like, that's what it spelled out.
Is that, like, a normal process? Like, do you think when they made the iPod, they just, sat a fucking iPod on a table and Steve Jobs was like, tell me who you are?
Siri might have. Who came first? Siri or Steve Jobs?
Definitely Steve Jobs. Definitely. Because I think Siri was invented in, like, fucking 2010.
You don't know that.
I watched that movie with Michael Fassbender in it. That's the least attractive he's ever looked. And also, somehow to my specific taste, the most attractive he's ever looked. Oh, my
God. Here we go. Next.
I'm just saying.
Next. Okay, I believe that.
The dad genes.
Ja. Yes, no.
Yes. I get that. Well, no. Ja doesn't mean no. Ja means yes. So it's like yes, yes.
So what means no?
No.
No means no.
Exactly. Yep. Now you're getting it. So,
I'm a man. I got it.
In February 24th, to be exact, 1927, our I guess marketing mogul for the Ouija board, William Fuld, climbed up to the roof of a 3-story factory that he had built to watch a flagpole being installed on the property, and he fell to his death mysteriously.
They say that the Ouija board is the one who told him to make that specific factory.
I mean, I feel like he fucking made it to produce the Ouija board, so...
I mean, yeah, but he had multiple factories. And, like, it was that particular one, which happened to be, like, some crazy incident, like, with the roof. I don't know.
Do we feel like maybe he built that factory because he needed to make more Ouija boards, though, to, like, sell? Like, do we think that the market had anything to do with that?
Katie, you're really trying to kill my fucking spooky vibe that I'm trying to have
it down.
Going on.
Bringing it down.
But no, he could have said the Ouija board could have told him.
See, I think it would be cooler if the Ouija board told him to go up to the roof of the building. You know what I mean? Like if the Ouija board was like, go up to the roof.
Yeah, but like he wouldn't have had the Ouija board and just sat there and been like, what do I do?
You don't know that. Maybe every decision in his life was determined by the Ouija board.
Maybe it was. Hell, half the decisions I make are from a fucking 8-ball half the time, so.
I make mines from a nickel. It's my lucky nickel, and I just flips it, and it says yes or no.
Do I take a shower today? The future is yet to be determined. Okay.
So, William Fuld died in 1927 under mysterious circumstances.
The fucking Ouija board killed him.
And then his children took over the company, and they ran it until Parker Brothers acquired the company, or the property, I guess I should say, in 1966. And they have owned it ever since. So the Ouija boards that we know are those that have been produced by Parker Brothers.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's just kind of a brief.
Well, let me tell you. You remember when we were talking about like opening up doors,
Yes.
not knowing what the fuck you doing? Well, you've been off Facebook, like I've said numerous times. There was a trailer that was going around. Well, not a trailer, but it was a viral post about this film called Veronica.
Uh-huh.
And supposedly it was scariest film ever.
I mean, every new viral
Yeah,
horror
but this
film
was
is
like
the scariest
viral
film
because
ever.
it was saying like people couldn't watch it.
Okay. So, like what happened with The Exorcist?
Yeah,
They ripping that off
Yeah,
for the billionth time?
yeah. And I'm wondering if it was I wonder if that was just some marketing ploy, like they created the meme. Because you remember, like, what was that movie that did that a couple
With the
years
pencil.
ago?
Remember that
The
thing?
Charlie.
Yeah,
It was Charlie.
Yeah.
And it was for, what was that movie? I'm drawing a blank.
I'll research it.
We've
fine.
watched it.
We watched it?
Yes.
Did we really?
Yes.
About
the... Shit. Find that out.
Okay, I'm going to research it.
Assistant, research, please.
We don't have an assistant.
I'm talking to you.
I'm not... What?
Yes. So, Veronica is a 2017 Spanish
The Gallows.
horror film.
The
The
Gallows.
Gallows.
The fucking Gallows.
Yeah,
Okay.
We've seen that.
All right. Yep. Sure.
Yeah. You don't. Yeah, we have.
Sure.
We've watched it.
Okay.
Or at least I have.
All right.
But I'm fairly certain we watched it. Anyway. So it's a 2017 Spanish horror film directed by Paco Plaza. The movie, like I said, was brought to my attention after the viral post that made, and obviously the joke is like, oh well, nobody could finish watching it because it sucked, right? Like that, you just opened yourself up for that. But essentially, the story revolves around a young girl who lives with her mother and siblings in a tiny apartment. Her father had passed away, and so one day at school, when everyone is headed outside to see a solar eclipse, Veronica and her friends head down to the basement to use a Ouija board. And some crazy shit happens while they're playing with it, and eventually she blacks out. After the event, she starts experiencing lots of paranormal activity around the house. She starts getting bruises and scratches over her body, and things just generally suck really bad for her. And she eventually discovers that the demon has latched itself onto her and is attempting to fully possess her. Now, was it the scariest film I've ever seen? No, not at all. But I don't think it would ever warrant a complete, shut off, fuck this bullshit.
You'd finish it. Is basically
yeah, no, I would finish it. And I liked it. I did like it. It is slow, and it is in Spanish, so I can see how that might, deter some people. But it really, honestly, had some truly creepy moments. And, there's, a blind nun.
That's cool.
And the kids call her Sister Death. Katie's future.
Oh, God.
No, you would never be a nun.
Unless I was, undercover, but I feel like I'd be the worst undercover nun ever.
You have references to, solar activity, which is cool. They give you a few jump scares in there. But you also have a true story. Dun, dun, dun.
A true story that's in the movie?
The movie is a true story. Well, inspired by a true story.
Okay.
Anyway.
Very different. Very different.
Yes, I know.
Inspired.
So, yes, Veronica is actually based off of a real case that happened in Madrid in 1990. Still keeping it in the 90s this week, y'all.
Fucking thematic.
Ha-ha!
Thematically. We planned it.
We did. So, late one evening on November 27th, a police station...
Full of Thanksgiving dinner.
Uh-huh. No, well, did they celebrate Thanksgiving in Spain?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think we hit that in Madrid. I was just thinking about myself, like where I would have been.
Where were you at 1992? In
92?
92.
I don't want to talk about it. I have an image.
Okay. But yes, this was in this moment started in 1992. That's when this whole thing... Well, it's not when this whole thing starts, but this is where I'm starting it in this timeline.
This is a great story.
It really is. No, it really is.
I want to give you an award for storytelling.
It really is. Shut the fuck up. A police station in Madrid received a deeply unsettling telephone call. The Gutierrez family had frantically called emergency services with claims that there was a shadow figure standing at the end of their hallway, and all of their crucifixes were turning down and then right side up. Nope. Inspector Jose Negri gathered a small team of officers and headed to the condo after making the assumption that there were probably intruders in the home. Unfortunately, when they arrived, they found something else.
They was turned inside out, weren't they?
No.
Okay, good. Good.
When the police arrived at the home, they found the Gutierrez family standing outside in the cold because they were too terrified to go back into their home.
That's good.
The Gutierrez family told the police that they had heard, they had previous paranormal experiences in their home, that they had heard strange banging noises all throughout their home, doors were slamming, and Mrs. Gutierrez recalled that she had been grabbed by a pair of invisible hands. They had both seen shadow people in the mirrors, walking past doorways, peeking behind corners.
For how long did that go on?
For several months.
Fuck that. No, see, you get a big fucking log of sage, like what I fucking have in my house. Kenny has seen my sage.
I know.
It's like fucking, it's like 10 inches long.
Your sage is bigger than my sage.
Big old fucking log of sage, and you light that shit on fire, and then you just
put it in the whole fire, honey.
You smudge your whole fucking house, and you do them mirrors twice, because fuck a mirror. Every time I get that mirror, I go around it twice, honey. My windows, I'm going around them twice.
Good.
Them light switches, I'm hitting them about 3 times, because I saw that fucking movie, that Don't Move movie. Is that what it's called? The movie, the horror short with the light switch. Fuck the hell out of that.
No, that was Lights Out.
Lights Out.
The movie that we talked about, that Don't Move was something
different
separate.
Movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the light switch one. Fuck it. Nope.
Yeah. So once the police made their way inside, they found no sign of forced entry or any sort of struggle, just an eerie calmness. The inspector kept a couple officers with Mrs. Gutierrez in the living room while he took the husband into the master bedroom with the rest of the officers to speak. Once they were there, they heard a loud bang that hit against the bedroom's balcony. And then what sounded like something rolling across the balcony's tiled floor. And when they opened the doors to the balcony, there was nothing there. The 2 men went back into the living room to ask the others if they had heard anything, and they didn't. And at that moment, an officer who had been standing beside a pine armoire was nearly hit by a swinging door that flung open unexpectedly. A preliminary investigation revealed that there were no strings, no trickery of any kind. And at that point, 2 of the officers were like, fuck this.
You know who those 2 were? You and me, babe.
They left to stand outside in the cold.
Bye.
They went out in the cold, whatever. Bitch, I went to the diner down the street.
For fucking sure.
The 24-hour diner.
Get me a hot chocolate. Get me a cherry pie.
Call me when y'all done. So, while sitting in the dining room, the Gutierrez couple told the officers about the strange death of their daughter a couple of years prior. Now, it's said that Mrs. Gutierrez's father was dying in the hospital at that time, but apparently wasn't very likable and was said to have absolutely hated his family. And before his death, he is said to have whispered into their daughter, Estefania, that's her name, whispered into her ear, "If I cannot harm you in this life, I'll do it in the next one." And he passed
That's what
away.
I say to every man that I break up with. That's my breakup speech.
It's funny
I
because
like
it's
to touch
true.
them gently on the cheek and stare deeply into their eyes.
So he died with a lot of hate and malice in his heart.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So their teenage daughter, Estefania, had taken a liking to the occult. You know, she got a little gothy.
Okay. I mean, you kind of have to if your fucking dad says that shit to you.
Her grandfather. That was her grandfather. And when one of her boyfriends, died in a tragic motorcycle accident, Estefania offered to perform a seance using a spirit board so that they could contact him. They performed the seance at school, but was interrupted by a teacher before they could finish. The teacher, in a fit of frustration and anger, rushed over, snatched the board, and tore it in two, and in doing so broke the glass that the girls had been using as a planchet. Both the girls and the teacher went on record and acknowledged that a wisp of smoke came out from the glass and that Estefania had breathed it in.
That ain't never good.
Yeah. So from that moment on, her health started to deteriorate. She started seeing the shadowy figures, and they taunted her relentlessly. She started having horrible seizures and became prone to violent fits of rage where she would snarl and growl at her younger siblings. The couple took Estefania to the doctors, but they couldn't find anything wrong with her. They just claimed she had a psychotic episode, like a break. She had a psychotic break.
I mean, it sounds like maybe there was some other stuff going on too, like with the grandfather being that terrible, you know?
Well, I don't think the way it spoke, the family wasn't close, and they only visited him in the hospital as a formality. I don't think there was a
bond there.
You know what I mean? There wasn't a bond there or anything like that. So for 6 months, the family tried to gain answers, but to no avail, and eventually the seizures became worse. In August of 1991, she said that the dark figures were beginning to beckon her to come nearer. And within several days...
I don't advise it.
No.
I don't fucking advise it.
Within several days, she passed away. Quietly in her bedroom. And it was from that point on that the Gutierrez family began experiencing all of this activity. And as the family was divulging this information to the inspector, fast forward to this night where apparently it had culminated in this shadow figure standing at the end of the hallway, which, by the way, fucking gets me. That's one thing that just creeps me out. Yeah. I told you in last episode about the fucking the shadow figure at the end of the fucking hallway. I don't do that shit. I do not do shadow figures in general.
What about at the end of the bed?
Not at. We've experienced that. Hello, Night Terror episode 2.
This is true. No, that was on top of you, right? Or was it?
Well, it was kind of on top. It wasn't at my bed, at the front of my bed or foot of my bed, but it was beside me. I couldn't see it, but I felt it.
Yeah.
But something about you've got this figure at the end of the hallway, and the hallway is the only thing that's that's the only distance between you two. I don't play that shit. Bye.
Is it worse at the end of the hallway or closer towards you?
To me, it's worse at the end of the hallway.
Yeah.
Because
you don't know how fast it's going to cross the hallway.
Right. Like, you don't know what it's doing.
For it. Yeah.
It's just like it's like a standoff.
It's like,
you know what
I'm
I mean?
waiting on you.
You're both at opposite ends of the hallway, and it's like, what the fuck? Also, we've all been there. We've all have all had those experiences where, like, it's dark and you think something looks like a figure, but it's really not. You know what I mean? Like,
or maybe it is.
Maybe it is. That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't play that shit.
Is.
That's why I don't like that. Like, the fuck is that? Like, that's why, no, I don't do that.
Mm-mm.
So, you know, with the shadow figure and the crosses acting all sorts of fucked up, they eventually were like, okay, we need to maybe call somebody, the police. The doctors couldn't help them out with their daughter, and they had been dealing with, like, these weird occurrences in their home since she passed.
When do we think about calling a priest? You know?
I'll get to that.
Because I would have...
No, I'll get to that.
I'd have been calling him,
They did.
Twice.
They did.
Okay.
They did. As the family was divulging this information to the inspector, another loud bang could be heard from the daughter's old room, as well as awful thrashing sounds. When they made it to the room, a crucifix that had been hanging on the wall was now lying on the floor, and several posters had been shredded. It is also noted that...
She's like, I'm so over Hanson now.
Stop. Respect the dead. She, it's noted in the police report, actually, that one of the younger daughters went into the room, picked up the crucifix, and hung it on, like, the back of the door.
Mm-hmm.
And when she hung it there, like, a set of claw marks, like 3 claw marks appeared. Like, there was a poster hanging on the back of the door, and I'm assuming some sort of nail. So the younger daughter went and, like, hung it back up on the back, and then, like, all of a sudden, like, 3, like,
claw
slash marks appeared through the poster beside it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's and what's interesting is that's actually documented. Like, the police officially documented that. So after all of that, the officers checked the balcony door, but it was locked, which meant nobody would have, escaped or been into the room. And a loud pounding sound echoed across the room, but they were never able to locate the source of the noise. And Mr. Gutierrez had also told them that previously, like, he had experienced, like, a force that would violently, like, push you in this room, and that his son he had witnessed his son, like, being physically thrown against the wall by some invisible force in this room. And that's sort of a recurring theme. Like, this was her old room, and they had sort of kept it, like, shut since her death. So, like, everything, like, these were, like, her posters and all of that stuff. There was actually another space in the house, the bathroom, that they completely just did not use at all. Because they said that they heard, like, disembodied voices all over they heard disembodied voices, and that the temperature was like, it was always so cold, like, abnormally cold. But the strangest thing that happened was that a picture of their daughter, Estefania, was found and had been burned down the middle, mostly down the middle. However, the frame and glass were intact.
So it's like the photo was burned and then placed
like
back into the glass, or
either that, or
that's
it
what
had,
it
like,
appeared
burned,
to be, or it from within.
Burned from within.
Right, just the photo was damaged.
Yeah, just the photo was damaged. So yeah, and the officer, like, they went in to check the bathroom, and he also noted that the hairs on the back of his neck stood up, and that the bathroom itself was exceptionally colder than it was outside in late November. So, Unfortunately, the police really couldn't help the family with anything.
fucking-
Like, what can they do?
They can't really put anybody in cuffs.
No, they can't. The family had also previously sought help from a medium who was actually documented becoming possessed by the spirit. What the medium said was the spirit of the grandfather.
Okay.
However, the medium also said that she could feel Estefania's presence in the apartment and that she was trying to protect her family. EVP was recorded with a female voice saying in Spanish, beware of grandfather. And I actually found those.
Why
I will
the
be
fuck
posting
was he
those.
so salty, babe?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know
why,
the whole
what
history
was he
behind
so
that,
fucking
but
mad
like,
about?
he was not a very good person,
You
apparently.
you gotta let it go, baby. You gotta let it go and become one with the great cosmic mother.
True. But that EVP is like
Really
freaky.
creepy?
Yeah, it's really fucking creepy. The EVP is really fucking creepy. The medium, when she was possessed, was also recorded, and like that's also fucking creepy. So I think we're gonna maybe try to post that to Patreon, maybe.
Yeah. We'll link that for you guys.
Yeah, and yeah. So, but with all of this, nobody, like, they never found peace in their home. So they eventually decided to pack up and move, where they fortunately seemed to find freedom from their suffering. So while no documented cases of activity happened to the family after, a team of researchers interviewing the family in their new home about all of this did pick up an EVP that said, "We haven't even started."
No, babe. I mean, we're done. Like, I'm moving.
The one thing that,
I gotta go.
But there hasn't been any recordings of anything happening in the apartment since then.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed to have all disappeared once they moved out.
Of course.
So,
but now I wonder if it continued wherever else they moved next.
They never documented any sort of like other supernatural activities like after that.
Oh, so they were never documented again, is what I'm
Maybe.
hearing. What I'm fucking hearing is that they just fucking disappeared.
All I'm saying is there were no more reports of supernatural activity.
Okay. How about any activity?
I don't
How about
know.
any? We got any ATM transactions? No.
But what interests me most about this case is that we all know that police are trained observers and are rarely involved in cases of the paranormal. And when it does happen, they almost always refuse to report those occurrences as paranormal.
Right.
However, the official police report for this case is filed with the extraordinary events that occurred while they investigated the Gutierrez home. And these are all statements that the police have officially sworn to have witnessed, leaving this to be one of the creepiest unexplained cases in their files.
I wonder how things like that, like I wonder if, because I do know that to a degree, like, yes, here in the U.S., the police are rarely involved in paranormal activity and things like that. And to a degree, I'm sure that holds constant worldwide. But I wonder if in different cultures, if there's sort of a different, like, treatment of that. You know what I mean? Like, here in America, if you call the cops when there's, like, paranormal activity and shit happening, like, people make fun of you or whatever, or they're, like, not into it.
Right.
Hello, motorcycle friend.
Maybe they
from
don't hear
fucking
us.
last week. But I wonder if in Madrid, because there is so much more of a rich culture that does include a lot of elements of the afterlife and stuff. I wonder if they would be more inclined to.
From my understanding, it's not.
No.
Mm-mm. Huh. No, from my understanding and from what I've read, it's not. So yeah, and there's a lot that like I wanted to like because I found like the actual like translations of the actual police reports.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna save those for our Patreon.
Well, shit. We'll put some
I
stuff
didn't
on
want to
Patreon.
read them.
We'll
I
put
mean, it's
some stuff on
essentially
Facebook.
it's essentially like what I said, but it's just like the actual.
Transcribed.
It's the actual
Yeah,
statements of
that's
what
cool.
was going on. which I found really interesting and also very creepy, and especially that fucking EVP, man. EVPs get me.
I can't wait to hear that.
EVPs get me, and I'm like, oh, that's when, like, I don't know, like, going back to, I still have that block, but I don't know, I guess, like, the EVP, like, I don't know.
They're either really fucking scary, or they're, like, really boring.
Yeah, true.
With EVP, because, like, sometimes I will fucking marathon the shit out of like, Ghost Hunters until I just can't. Like, there's a point at which my brain, like, I believe that the electricity that makes my brain work actually, like, slows down to the point from watching Ghost Hunters, because it's so stupid. Like, it just slows down to the point that my brain is, like, starting to destabilize and I have to stop. But I love that shit. Yeah. But it's either really scary and you're like, oh shit, or it's like just clicks and shit on a recorder. Yeah. You know?
And a lot of it can be suggestive.
Good EVP is really fucking creepy, though.
A lot of it can be suggestive. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is what you would hear, and then your brain, like, finds a way to... Yeah.
And then sometimes you don't know if they're saying Laurel or Yanny.
Fuck that. Fuck that. Yanny is not a fucking word.
It's not.
Laurel.
Yeah.
And they
no. What's really scary about that shit, though?
That it was Laurel.
Well, yeah.
It was Laurel.
But no, what's so scary is that, like, I found this video on YouTube and I was like, this is so dumb. But then I played the video, and, like, the first time I heard Laurel, because every time anybody's ever played it for me, I've only ever heard Laurel. So they played it once, and they were fucking with your brain. And they played the clip, and they put up the word Yanny, and I heard Laurel. And then they played the clip again, and they put up the word Laurel, and I heard fucking Yanny clear as day. Scared the piss out of me, because I had somebody else that was there watching it with me, and, like, they heard Yanny twice. So, like, it was the same recording. It was just, like... And you were supposed to hear the word that they put up, but, like, apparently my brain is just fucking obstinate. And so I heard the opposite word, but anyway... Back to Ouija boards. Yeah. Today's theme is Laurel versus Yanny.
No.
So dumb.
So I just think that it goes back to, like, she was messing with stuff that she just didn't really maybe understand. I also think that fucking teacher fucked up when she came in and, like, ripped the fucking spirit board in two and broke that fucking glass.
Yeah, not a way to deal with that.
No, really. Not at all. So, just a really interesting case. It is very popular in Spain. And yeah, so it's kind of like I think it's been described as kind of like our equivalent of like The Conjuring. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like that Ed and Lorraine Warren, like, stuff, like, it's like that's their equivalent, like, that's their haunting. The Vallecas, did I say that right? I might have said that completely wrong. Vallecas haunting. Yeah,
I wish I knew what the grandfather was so mad about. You know,
I don't know. I really don't know.
Especially since they weren't really close. Like, that just seems like a lot of effort. You know what I mean? Right. Like, when I die, I'm going straight to hell. Bowie's fucking house party in the sky. Like, I'm just going straight there. You know, I don't really have time to fuck around with anything here. I don't think. Yeah. Just headed there. I'll hitch a ride with Prince, and it'd be fine.
I might stay around.
Really?
I might stay around. Fuck with people.
I don't know. I just turn feel into, like, I won't be interested in people anymore.
I would turn into.
I'd go to Saturn.
No, I would be able to just fuck with people in any way that I wanted. And you can't do shit because I'm dead.
I mean, I feel like they could probably sage the shit out of you. That's what the fuck I do.
Bitch, the sage ain't gonna do nothing with me. Because I'm not malevolent.
It probably legit won't do anything for me. Because I'll be like 85% sage by the time I die and become a spirit. Right. Because I fucking sage so much.
Yeah. So. No. Well. Yeah.
So, Ouija boards.
Spirit boards. Whatever you want to call them.
Talking to the dead boards. I think use with caution is what my final word on it is. I think just like anything, literally anything that involves any degree of magic, use with caution and
Yeah.
be very careful about your intention and, know what you're doing before you
Yeah, exactly.
dabble.
Exactly.
Not a dabbling sort of thing.
Yeah. Or just have a spiritual block up.
Like you.
Like me. Or that. So, well, that is our episode. Thank you so much for listening to this.
Thanks.
Our episode.
Thank you. What? That was weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
That was very odd.
I'm not going to edit.
That was like
I'm not gonna
high.
edit.
That was like radio talk show host who is also high. Like just very high.
I'm just trying to fulfill my word count, man.
Yeah. Yeah, good.
Just trying to get us on up to that 1 hour and 12-minute mark.
That we always hover around. Yeah. All right. We hope you guys have a good week, and we will see you back next week.
And as always,
Stay spooky.